In the small, secluded town of Black Hollow, nestled deep within the ancient, whispering woods, a sinister presence loomed. Legends spoke of malevolent forces that prowled the moonlit nights, terrorizing the unsuspecting residents. The townsfolk, huddled in their homes, spoke in hushed tones about the curse that plagued their once peaceful community. Black Hollow was cursed with werewolves. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that danced through the gnarled trees, the air grew thick with an eerie tension. A haunting howl echoed through the dense forest, sending shivers down the spines of those who dared to venture outside after dark. The townspeople, living in constant fear, locked their doors and shuttered their windows, hoping to shield themselves from the impending horror. Among the afflicted was Elias, a weary man with a weathered face, haunted by the curse that had befallen his family for generations. His ancestors had made a pact with dark forces, a pact that bound their bloodline to the insidious transformation that awaited them under the pale glow of the full moon. Elias, however, clung desperately to the hope that he could break free from the curse that had ensnared his kin. As the moon ascended to its full glory, bathing the town in an ethereal silver light, Elias felt the first tendrils of the transformation clawing at his insides. The change was excruciating, bones snapping and shifting as his body contorted into a grotesque, lupine form. His eyes, once warm and familiar, now glowed with an otherworldly malevolence. The werewolves of Black Hollow were not the noble beasts of lore but monstrous abominations, twisted and corrupted by the curse. They roamed the town with an insatiable hunger, seeking out the unsuspecting souls who had yet to grasp the true horror that lurked in the shadows. The air carried a foul stench, a sickening blend of damp fur and the metallic tang of freshly spilled blood. Each month, as the moon reached its zenith, the townspeople would cower in terror as the werewolves prowled the streets, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. The once thriving community now resembled a ghost town, its buildings scarred and battered by the claws of the unholy creatures that stalked its every corner. One fateful night, as Elias succumbed to the beast within, a lone figure emerged from the shadows. Vanessa, a mysterious woman with piercing eyes and an air of determination, had arrived in Black Hollow with a purpose. She carried with her a tattered journal, filled with ancient incantations and forgotten lore passed down through generations. Vanessa, driven by a deep-rooted vendetta against the creatures that had claimed her family, sought to uncover the secrets of the curse that plagued Black Hollow. Armed with the knowledge of forbidden rituals and ancient magic, she delved into the heart of the town's darkness, determined to confront the malevolent force that held it captive. As Vanessa unraveled the twisted history of Black Hollow, she discovered a hidden truth that sent shivers down her spine. The curse that bound the town was not merely a random affliction, but a deliberate act of dark sorcery, a curse woven with malicious intent to serve the whims of a malevolent entity that thrived on chaos and despair. With each passing day, Vanessa delved deeper into the secrets that the town held, uncovering a network of dark rituals and forbidden pacts that intertwined with the werewolf's curse. She learned that breaking the curse required a sacrifice, a price paid in blood, to sever the link between the cursed bloodline and the malevolent force that fueled their transformation. As the next full moon approached, Vanessa prepared to confront the werewolves and the dark entity that held them captive. The townspeople, desperate for salvation, looked to her as their last hope. The air in Black Hollow crackled with an electric tension, a palpable sense that the fate of the town hung in the balance. Little did Vanessa know that the malevolent force she sought to vanquish had taken notice of her presence. The shadows whispered with sinister intent, and the werewolves, driven by an unseen force, closed in on the woman who dared to challenge the darkness that gripped their home. The moon rose high in the night sky, casting an ominous glow over Black Hollow. Vanessa, armed with ancient knowledge and an unwavering resolve, stood on the outskirts of town, ready to face the werewolves and the malevolent entity that had ensnared them. The townspeople, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and hope, watched as the fate of their home hung in the balance. The air grew still, and a bone-chilling howl pierced the silence, signaling the onset of the werewolves' transformation. The creatures emerged from the shadows, their eyes gleaming with a feral hunger that betrayed their monstrous nature. Vanessa, undeterred, began to chant the incantations from the tattered journal, each word resonating with ancient power. As the incantations echoed through the night, the werewolves hesitated, their movements momentarily faltering. The malevolent force that bound them recoiled, its dark energy pulsating in protest. Vanessa pressed on, her voice unwavering, as she summoned the forbidden magic to break the curse that had plagued Black Hollow for generations. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, and a blinding light enveloped Vanessa. The townspeople shielded their eyes, overcome by the intensity of the arcane energy that surged through the air. When the light subsided, Vanessa stood transformed, her eyes ablaze with newfound power. The werewolves, now freed from the malevolent force, reverted to their human forms, their faces etched with a mixture of relief and confusion. The curse had been broken, and Black Hollow was released from the grip of the dark entity that had plagued it for centuries. However, the story did not end there. As the townspeople celebrated their newfound freedom, a lingering unease settled over Black Hollow. Vanessa, now marked by the ancient magic she had wielded, sensed that the malevolent force had not been vanquished entirely. It lingered in the shadows, biding its time, waiting for an opportunity to strike back. Vanessa knew that the true battle had just begun. The malevolent entity, angered by its defeat, would not rest until it exacted revenge on those who dared to challenge its dominion. The townspeople, still haunted by the memories of the werewolves' reign of terror, looked to Vanessa for guidance as the looming darkness threatened to descend once more. As Vanessa delved deeper into the arcane mysteries that surrounded Black Hollow, she uncovered a chilling revelation. The malevolent force that had plagued the town was not a mere entity but a manifestation of a much darker, ancient evil that had been imprisoned within the heart of the Whispering Woods. The curse of the werewolves was but a symptom of a deeper, more insidious malevolence that sought to consume everything in its path. With a heavy heart, Vanessa realized that the true source of the darkness that gripped Black Hollow lay hidden in the ancient, forbidden depths of the woods. As she prepared to confront the ancient evil that lurked within, the townspeople rallied behind her, united by a common goal to rid their home of the malevolent force that had cast a shadow over their lives for far too long. The Whispering Woods, once a sanctuary of natural beauty, now stood as a foreboding labyrinth of twisted trees and oppressive darkness. Vanessa, guided by the ancient knowledge she had acquired, led the townspeople deeper into the heart of the forest, where the malevolent force awaited its chance for revenge. As they ventured into the unknown, the air grew heavy with a malevolent presence, and the whispering of the trees morphed into haunting wails that echoed through the woods. The ancient evil, sensing the intruders, stirred from its slumber, sending ripples of dread through Vanessa and the townspeople. Suddenly, the trees seemed to close in, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers to ensnare the intruders. The very ground beneath them seemed to pulse with an ominous energy, as if the forest itself sought to repel the unwelcome visitors. Vanessa pressed on, her determination unwavering, as she knew that the only way to break the ancient curse was to confront the source of the malevolence head-on. As they reached the heart of the Whispering Woods, an ancient altar stood bathed in an eerie, otherworldly glow. Vanessa recognized the arcane symbols etched into the stone, symbols that spoke of a dark ritual that had bound the ancient evil to the very fabric of Black Hollow. The townspeople, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and anticipation, looked to Vanessa for guidance. With the ancient knowledge she possessed, Vanessa began to chant the incantations that would unravel the dark magic that bound the ancient evil. The air crackled with tension as the incantations reverberated through the woods, and the very ground beneath them trembled in response. The malevolent force, aware of the threat, unleashed its fury in a desperate attempt to repel Vanessa and the townspeople. As Vanessa reached the climax of the incantation, a blinding light engulfed the ancient altar. The trees moaned and wailed, their twisted branches contorting in a grotesque dance of resistance. The townspeople, caught in the midst of the arcane upheaval, clung to the hope that Vanessa's magic would prevail against the ancient evil that had plagued their home for centuries. Suddenly, the light subsided, and an oppressive silence descended upon the whispering woods. Vanessa, drained but victorious, stood before the now dormant altar. The ancient evil, its malevolence extinguished, had been banished from Black Hollow. The curse that had tormented the town for generations was finally lifted, and the townspeople, their faces filled with a mix of awe and gratitude, realized that their nightmare was finally over. However, as the townspeople began to emerge from the woods, a faint sense of foreboding lingered in the air. Vanessa, her senses attuned to the arcane, detected a residual darkness that clung to the edges of the whispering woods. The ancient evil, though banished, had left behind a lingering trace of its malevolence, a seed of darkness that threatened to take root once more. Vanessa, now burdened with the knowledge that the battle against ancient evil was far from over, turned to the townspeople with a solemn expression. The true nature of the malevolent force had been revealed, and the shadows that loomed over Black Hollow were a constant reminder that the struggle against darkness was eternal. As the townspeople returned to their homes, grateful for the reprieve from the curse, Vanessa remained vigilant. She knew that the ancient evil, though weakened, would seek to regain its strength and return to claim Black Hollow once more. The Whispering Woods, once a place of dread, now harbored a secret that demanded eternal vigilance. The tale of Black Hollow, while seemingly resolved, left the door ajar for the lurking darkness to resurface. Vanessa, burdened with the responsibility of guarding the town against ancient evil's return, pledged to remain in Black Hollow as its protector. The townspeople, their lives forever changed by the horrors they had endured, looked to Vanessa with a newfound sense of trust and gratitude. And so, Black Hollow entered a fragile era of peace, guarded by the watchful eyes of Vanessa and the ever-present knowledge that the ancient evil, though banished, lingered in the shadows, waiting for the opportune moment to rise again. The tale of werewolves and curses had ended, but the legacy of darkness endured, leaving the town in a perpetual dance with the malevolent forces that sought to claim it as their own.